Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. I'm Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, as always. And today, since you stopped by, I thought we'd make something special. We're going to do a cheesecake. We're going to do a German chocolate cheesecake. Now, we have done a German chocolate cake. We have done a German chocolate pie. Now we're going to do a German chocolate cheesecake. I don't know what my obsession is with German chocolate, but all of a sudden has become a mainstay in my house. Now, German chocolate, in case you didn't know, and didn't catch the cake video, is not from Germany. It is from invented by a guy named German. His last name was German. Lived in Texas, and they named it after him because it is got more sweetness to it, a little more sugar to it than an unsweet or a semi-sweet chocolate, and it adds a unique flavor. And I don't remember the lady's name right offhand, but she created the German chocolate cake out of his chocolate, and that's how it used to be called German's chocolate cake. Now it's just German chocolate cake. But that's how it came to be. It's an American cake through and through. It's a wonderful chocolate cake, normally with a nice coconut icing that goes on it. Now in this case, we're going to do it in cheesecake form. It'll still have the coconut pecan icing on top, and it has a little bit in the middle. This cheesecake also has a really nice Oreo crust. So it's like a chocolate lover's dream come true, and if you like coconut pecan, that's even a bigger bonus for you. So I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time in the intro. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if this is your first video. Check out some of my other videos if you enjoyed this one. If you're a new subscriber or you're returning, thank you. I appreciate that. I love to see the neighborhood grow, and I just take with the utmost passion the fact that you guys take time out of your day to spend it with me. All your measurements will be in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, along with grams, so that way everybody can play along. And as always, if there is a third way to measure things, let me know, and I will try to get those in too. So that being said, I already said like, subscribe, share, notification bell, that way you know when my videos come out. If you are so inclined to do all of the above, that does get us out in the algorithm, makes our neighborhood grow, which is awesome. So anyhow, that being all said, let's get down to the stovetop in this case, because that's where we're going to start. And we're going to actually start by making the topping for this. It has to cool completely before we can do anything with it, so we'll make it first. So hold on for me 1 second, we'll get down to the stovetop. We start out with a recipe. This one, I don't remember now. It's like live, love, and sugar. I'll put it down here where I got the recipe from, because I pretty much follow it per verbatim, other than the Oreo crust. I'm just going to use mine. But other than that, I didn't change a thing. So, and I want them to get credit for it. I've used their recipes before and mentioned them, and they have some wonderful recipes, and I do recommend checking them out. But to make the topping, you will need a large saucepan, preferably a heavy bottomed one. When you're dealing with sugars and butters and things like that, you want it to not burn your what you're cooking, your topping. And a heavy bottom saucepan usually gets even and temps good and all that stuff. You don't have hot spots. I'm using cast iron. So the first thing we need to do with the topping is we're going to put 4 large yolks in. Let me grab a spatula real quick behind me. Yeah, if you're new to my channel, my entire kitchen is 8 by 15. It's very small, so I have to sometimes walk away to get stuff. But I got 4 large egg yolks right here, one of them's broke. And we're just going to put those into the pan. And we are going to add to that 1 12-ounce can of evaporated milk. And my goofy butt, I use the can opener to open it with, which you can't just use the little can opener that puts a hole in it, like the old school can opener, which I don't know why I didn't do that. So we're going to put that in there. And then we're just going to simply whisk this together real good. We want to, the egg yolks broken up. If you have your egg yolks at room temperature, they'll pretty much just blend right in quickly. And baking, if you didn't know, everything should be room temperature unless otherwise noted. Or at least softened, which means almost room temperature. Been out for about a half hour, 45 minutes. All right, we got those mixed together. So to this, then we're going to add some sugar. I've got, 1.5 cups, 300 grams of sugar. We're gonna put that in there. And we are going to add some butter. We are going to add 3/4 of a cup, 1.5 sticks, 181 grams of butter into this. And you want it cubed up so it melts quickly, all right? Because what we're gonna do is we're going to turn this into basically a pudding. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my stovetop turned on. We're gonna put it on medium, and we are going to cook this, stirring constantly until the butter is melted and it thickens up like a pudding. Okay, so we got her thickened up, and you'll start to hear it pop versus the bubbling action, and that's when you know you're getting close. It should take about 15 minutes once it starts bubbling to get it to a good thick consistency. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this off the stove top, turn our stove off, and one thing I did forget to add to this that I added after the fact when we were off camera was vanilla. You need 1.5 teaspoons, 6 grams of vanilla. So now that we've got this off of there, we are going to add some coconut, which is 110 grams, 2 2/3 cup. We're going to throw that in there. And you can do a little less, a little more. That's what the recipe called for. And we're going to add some pecans to it. We're going to add 1 1/4 cup, 150 grams. Well, we're going to add most of it because I want to save some of them for the top. And these are crushed, broken up and toasted. To toast them, just, I toast mine all at once when I get them. But I put it in an oven at 350 degrees. And for about 4 to 6 minutes, once you start to smell them, once the oils start to come out, you'll start to smell any nut you put in there to toast. And that's when you know the oils are coming out, and that's when they have their most flavor. So we're going to go ahead and get this stirred in there, right? Just like such. And now we are simply just going to set this off to the side, get some things cleaned up, and we are going to make our crust. All right, I'll be right back. All right, now we're ready to make the crust. So we're going to need 1 9-inch springform pan. Springform means that it comes loose. Got a little connector on there. Makes it a lot easier to get cheesecakes out. I've seen recipes that have done them in regular cake pans. I've never attempted it, but I can imagine it's a colossal undertaking to get it out of the pan. So anyhow, 9-inch springform pan. In my food processor, and if you don't have one, you can simply use a freezer bag with a mallet or a hammer or a rolling pin or whatever, and just beat the bejesus out of the Oreos. But I don't want to work that hard, so I'm going to use my food processor. I have 298 grams, which is 26 Oreos in here, or whatever chocolate cream sandwich that you have out there. I didn't separate them. I still got the cream in the center of the fillings. Just don't use the double stuff. And all I'm going to do is process this on high until I've got crumbs. Oh, gotta plug it in first. Oh. Alright, so we'll give these a quick check. Make sure everything is, there's no big chunks in there. I mean, it's okay if you got little chunks in there. Nobody's gonna holler. It'll still work the same. But we don't, and you want to be careful when you put your hand in here. Blades on a processor are sharp. Now, you have the option to just go ahead and put melted butter in here this way and process it. I find I can't get it to go evenly, so once I hit this step, I take a bowl, I just simply pour this in here, like so. Set that in the sink, get the crumbs out of the corners, And to this, I'm going to add 7 tablespoons, which I believe is 98 grams of, no, 100 grams, because it's 114 grams for 8 tablespoons with a stick. So it'd be 100 grams of butter melted to this. And then you can take a spatula and you can mix this together, or in my case, I'm just going to grab a glove because I have them and I can. That way I don't get it all over my hands. I know it gets processed, but I mean, if you see, I don't know if you can see down in there or not, but that's good and powdery. And we're just going to mix that in with the butter. Takes a whole 2 seconds, and this way I know that the butter is in there nice and even. Just like that. See, literally, whole 2 seconds. We are mixed. Got one big lump of Oreo in there. Scoot our processor back. Wipe off the counter. We're going to take our pan, and before we put this in here, I'm going to go ahead and put my oven on 350 degrees because that's what we're gonna bake our crust. All right, and you don't have to. Let's say you don't feel like heating up your kitchen quite yet, or whatever. You can just stick this in the freezer while you make your filling, and it'll harden it up. But I think, this is my opinion, that it adds something to it when you bake the crust. So I bake all my crusts for cheesecake. Very rarely, there's been one no-bake cheesecake I made, and it was a fruity pebble cheesecake, and to be honest with you, wasn't real happy with it. But it did not require the crust to be baked, and it, in my mind, didn't turn out as good. It should, I think they should all be baked. So once you get this down in there, just like such, and it's going to look wet because it's got melted butter all through it, and the oven heats up to temp, I'm going to go ahead and put this in for 350 degrees, and we're going to do it for 10 minutes. So when I come back, we'll pull this out of the oven, we'll start making the filling for our cheesecake. All right, see you here in a second. All right, so we got our crust. Crust just came out of the oven, and there, I see it's not wet anymore. It's nice and dry. So we gotta while that's cooling, we can make our filling. So now we've got our topping cooling, we've got our crust cooling, now we've just got to make our filling. So the original directions to this were kind of odd in the fact that she basically just dumped everything in here at once and mixed it. I am not a fan of that. So I broke mine down into pieces parts, so to speak. So the first thing we're going to do is take 8 ounces, 3 blocks of cream cheese. Go ahead and put that in our mixer. I'm using a stand mixer. You could use a hand mixer. I don't know if you can get away with a spoon. Maybe not. I don't. If you've got a lot of, gumption and muscle. But you want that at room temperature, right? At least softened. You want it at least sit out for about an hour. The softer the better. The softer the creamier. And we're just going to mix it. We're just going to cream this up. So that way it's no longer blocks. It's just cream. And we're going to let that run for about a couple minutes at any rate. Alright, so we've got that nice and creamed. So when I say a couple minutes, and it'll vary depending on how warm your cream cheese is, because now's the part where you want to get 95% of all the, no lumps, basically, with your cream cheese. Because, we're going to mix this, we're not going to mix it on any higher than 3, which is what we were just at on this when I shut it off. Because we don't want air, minimal air in the batter. And we'll give this a good scrape. Now, when I pulled my crust out of the oven, I did not turn my oven off. I turned it down 300 degrees All right, and I just got it going at 300 degrees. That way we know it's good and warmed up and ready to rock and roll, which is what we want. And now that I got that scraped down and off the sides, and I can see I've got no big lumps in there. To this, I am going to add 1 cup, 200 grams, yes, 1 cup, 200 grams of just plain old white granulated sugar. No different than you would put in your coffee or your tea or your cereal if you're a kid or an adult who likes to eat sugary cereal. And this I am going to let run for another 2 to 3 minutes, maybe even 4. I want it to be completely incorporated. All right, we are good and incorporated. Only took a couple minutes. I was able to catch up to a couple dishes that I had sitting in the sink in the process. So we'll give it, once again, another scrape down. When it comes to cheesecakes, you cannot scrape stuff down and give it a good stir on your own often enough. Because what you're looking for when you do this, mixers have dead spots in them where they don't really mix so well. And even when you use a hand mixer in a bowl, there are spots that don't get touched. That's just the nature of mixers in general. So you want to, that gives you an opportunity to get in there and do that. So the next thing we're going to add to this is 3 tablespoons, 24 grams of cocoa powder. Get that all out of there. Leave no powder behind, so to speak. Yeah, I watch people who do baking videos and cooking videos on YouTube also, and I watch them use a fresh spatula every time and all that stuff. That's a lot of dishes. And then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon, 10 grams of all-purpose flour, just plain old regular flour, and then we're going to get this combined. All right, got that combined. Once again, quick scrape down. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but especially when you're adding chocolates and things like that, you want to make sure you give it a good once through with your spatula, so that way you know you got minimal white streaks. Try to get those taken care of. Don't have any on the bottom. I have found with working with chocolate, at least with the cakes, because honest to God, this is the first time I've ever made a chocolate cheesecake of any kind. You will inevitably end up with batter down at the bottom, or you will have chocolate that isn't quite mixed. All right, so we've got next ingredient is going to be the star of the show, which is German's chocolate. And I have 8 ounces of German's chocolate, and I have it melted. Okay, so as you can see, it is melted. There's 2 different ways to melt your German chocolate, or your chocolate in general. You can do my preferred method of a double boiler, which is simply a pot with a little bit of water on it with a bowl sitting on top of that, and you turn it on the stove and melt it slowly over time, or you can use your microwave. I don't have a lot of success with microwaves when it comes to chocolate, so I don't do that. I instead prefer the double boiler method. It takes a little longer, but I have control over it, and I don't have to worry about it burning. Now, you may have success with chocolate in the microwave. I have had very limited success with chocolate in the microwave. But that's 8 ounces. It's 2 blocks of chocolate, and we're going to put that in there, and then we're just going to incorporate that. All right, got that. I'm going to give my paddle a good, just a quick scrape down. Nothing spectacular. Nothing fancy. We've got 2 more ingredients left, I promise, folks. We're on our way to putting it in the oven, and we're about halfway there altogether. This is definitely not a weeknight cake or cheesecake. This is I'm making this for friends and family, a party, just because it does take some time. This is a special occasion cheesecake, but I think it's going to be wonderful. I know the batter looks amazing. Get that off of there. That. Oh, I'm here to tell you, that's looking good. Doesn't taste bad either. Alright, so, moving on. I have 4 large eggs, 200 grams. I'm going to put this on 2 if you have a stand mixer, or hand mixer. And I'm going to incorporate these one at a time, and I'm going to wait until each egg is completely in it before I put in the next one. Now if you accidentally drop 2 in there, that's fine. Alright, got the eggs in there. Looking handy dandy. One last ingredient. We're going to do one more scrape. And this time we're going to kind of make sure everything's good. Yeah, I'm sure it is, but yeah, no, not a horribly quick scrape, but not a slow one. That. Alright, we rocked that one out. So the last ingredient to put in there is 1 cup, 190 grams of sour cream, and you want that, you know, softened. It's close to room temperature, not ice cold, but you know, it won't hurt. I mean, you don't want it frozen. I know that, and it's funny because when I pulled mine out of the fridge today, where it's been sitting in the back of our fridge, it's actually kind of frozen. But that's all right, it's not now. So we're gonna get this incorporated, and then what we have left to do is put the thing together and stick it in the oven. So, got the batter mixed up, and got the side got cleaned up a little bit, and I just set it to the side because the next thing we need to do is put some foil around our pan. So we're using foil because we're going to water bath this. Now I buy, and if you're going to make cheesecake, well, I mean in general, really, I think you get further with it. There are 2 different sizes of aluminum foil. There is a 12-inch, which is the smaller roll, and then there's a 16-inch, 18-inch, which is the one I buy. I buy the bigger roll, and the reason for that is because when I make cheesecakes, you don't, using a 12-inch, you can use a 12-inch roll if that's what you have, you know, which is fine, but it leaves a split down the center because it's not quite big enough to cover your pan. So if you use a 12-inch, one option is to go ahead and layer that thing like 5 or 6 times around. Okay, so you're going to want to put like 5 or 6 pieces of foil on there. That way, yeah, you've got an offset your where the gap is. You know, so you may do like 2 pieces this way, then 2 pieces this way, then 2 pieces this way, and then that way you lessen the chance of getting. Because what's going to happen when you water bath is the water's going to try to get into those slits, and then it can get into your crust. And make it won't completely ruin your crust. I know we found out. I had made a caramel cheesecake last week, I think it was week before, and for a friend of ours, and I made it that night. Well, guess what happened? I developed a pinhole in the bottom of my pan, and it allowed water in. It hit the crust. So that next morning, when she was going to pick up the cheesecake about 8.5, 9 hours later, I quickly made another cheesecake, and which turned out fine, but me and the family ate the other cheesecake. Now the crust was actually good, but it was a little loose. It had lost some of its butter due to the water. So accidents happen. Now another thing, and I don't know for sure if this will work all the time, but I have done a couple cheesecakes where you didn't stick the cake in the water bath. You actually stuck the water bath down on the bottom rack of your oven and stuck the cake on top. The point of a water bath is to create steam inside your oven to help your cake from not cracking. All right, it's all about not cracking, and that works. So you could try that. You just simply stick your pan of water on the bottom rack, put your cake on the middle rack and run it from there, you know, same times and everything. I mean, you want to check it, wiggle it, make sure all that. But anyhow, so we got our foil on there, and I've given my spiel on foil, but I hadn't done that in a while, and I thought, you know, we should talk about foil. So the next thing we got to do is we're just going to take a little bit of this batter and put it in here to start with, like such, and we're going to smear it out even. All right, we got our batter on there and smeared out. And then we're going to take, it said to take a cup and a half. Yeah, a cup and a half of this topping, which I gotta find my, here, we'll just do this. We will grab the half a cup measuring cup, dun, 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 and do it 3 times. What do you say? So we'll take, that looks like about a half a cup. This is where you can kind of get liberal with it. And another half a cup. Yeah, it doesn't have to be precise, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And another half a cup. And then we're just going to smear that around on top of that. Alright, we got that on there. So now we've got our cookie layer, we've got a little bit of cheesecake, and we've got a layer of the German chocolate frosting, which, by the way, tastes delicious. We'll go ahead and get that off of there. Oh, yep, still tastes delicious. I'm gonna see some darkened chocolate on the side of my bowl there. Get that off of there. Like I said, never mix too much. Then we're just gonna simply pour our batter over top. Got our batter on the top, and then we're just gonna even this out like such, so we don't have any real high spots or low spots. There is that, looking good. Now, they did say in the recipe that it is going to fill your cheesecake pan up, and it did fill the cheesecake pan up. That is no lie. So, next thing we got to do is grab our roasting pan. You know, and you want a pan big enough, A, to fit your cheesecake pan into, and that it can fill up about 1 inch worth of water. So depending on who else you watch make cheesecakes, some of them put the pan in the oven and then fill it with the water. Some people fill it full of water then put the pan in. Some people use a tea kettle to heat their water up with. I do not. I use hot water out of the tap. Our water is pretty hot out of the tap. It's like 130 degrees. And we'll get our inch of water in there. You know, we're about halfway up. If you use a deep pan, you don't want to fill it all the way up to the edge. You know, don't go any higher than halfway up your cheesecake. So let me get this in the oven real quick, and we're going to talk about the long process of baking this bad boy. Okay, so let's talk about baking this. This is where the test of patience begins. So we got it all together. It realistically didn't take that long. Maybe half hour, 40 minutes to put it all together, which in the cheesecake world is even, well, I mean, that's still pretty long even in the cheesecake world. I've had some cheesecakes, like the lemon cheesecake we did a few weeks ago. Didn't take nearly this, but this is labor intensive because it's got 3 different things. So we're looking at about 40 minutes to put it together. Now, according to the recipe, we want to bake this for 1.5 hours at 300 degrees. After that 1.5 hours is up, just like most of our cheesecakes, I'm going to turn that oven off, but I'm not going to open the door. And I'm going to leave it in there with the oven off for 20 minutes with the door not open. And then after that, I'm going to crack the door. I'm going to leave it open for another 20 minutes just cracked. You know, I'm simply going to take a spatula or a spoon, open up my oven door, put this in it and let it shut on it, and that way it's just cracked. After that, I will take it out and put it on the rack, and that's when we'll take a look at it. And we gotta let it cool to room temperature after that. So when I come back, we'll get it out of the oven and we will take a look at it and get it unwrapped and out of the water bath. So I'll see you here in just 1 second. All right, hold on for me. Okay, so timer just went off for the open vented portion of the cooling process. So to recap real quick, even though just for you it's been a second, we baked an hour and a half, hour and 30 minutes. Then we turned the oven off, let it sit in here with the door closed for 20 minutes. And then I cracked the door with my spoon for 20 minutes. And now we're gonna take it out, get it out of its water bath. As soon as I find something I can get it out of here with. There we are. Oh. That is crazy. Looks good, don't it? I think. We'll know for sure when we get it out of the thing there. But I think it looks good at any rate. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead. All right, it's not too hot that I can lift it real quick. Get it on the rack. Whew. That was a testimony to stupidity in a way, because this was not cold, but it wasn't horribly hot. So in my industry, with working with ovens and fryers and things like that, you develop what's called oven hands, and basically you can grab stuff. You're used to stuff being hot, your hands get used to it. Yeah, still doesn't mean you should do that though, so don't try that at home. You know, find some pot holders, something, oven mitts, and put those on. I mean, unless of course you're used to it, and then, you know, have at it, but all the same. So we'll get this off the foil. And whoa, try not to drop the cake in the process, because that would be sad in so many ways. Alright, there we are. Yes, there's absolutely no liquid in there really. Yeah, now you may have, don't be discouraged if you open this up and you see a little bit of butter in there. That's okay. Because even the springform pans I use, which are supposed to be no leak pans, I'm here to tell you they leak. They don't leak as bad as some, but they still leak. You know, all pans eventually, unless there's like some super cool, you know, rubber seal in it that absolutely keeps anything from leaking out of a springform pan. I've yet to have one that is completely, truly leak proof. So what are we going to do now? Well, now we're going to let this bad boy cool. Finish cooling completely. We will let it sit there in the springform pan until it is room temperature. And then I will put a piece of saran wrap over it, plastic wrap over it, and put it in the fridge for 6 to 8 hours, or about overnight, which in this case is going to be overnight. Because it's 6 o'clock now and I probably won't be up till 2 in the morning. So once it cools, I'll throw it in the fridge, let it sit overnight, and when I come back, we will put the frosting on the top of it and try piece. All right, I'll see you here in just 1 second. Okay, so we let our excuse me, cheesecake sit in the fridge overnight. By the time I got done with the day, I was tired, it was late, time to go to bed, and it wasn't going anywhere. So I went ahead and pulled it out and got it on a plate, and let's get you down to the counter. We'll move on to the next step before we try piece. Hold on for me just 1 second and we'll get started. Alright, we are down here at the counter, and here is our finished product. I think it looks absolutely amazing. myself. So all we have left to do is straighten it up on the plate there. Now I let this sit out for a couple minutes, but all we have left to do is put the topping on it. So the coconut frosting, the remaining half that we didn't put in the cheesecake, I put in the fridge overnight. I guess I could have told you that earlier. And then when I got up today, I got it out to let it warm back up. 'Cause remember, it's got butter in it, so it was as stiff as a board when I got it out. And you let it warm up, the butter warms up to room temperature, and then you've got a spreadable topping again. So all we got left to do is put this topping on here like such. That being said, we got our coconut filling on, or topping on top of there, and then I'm just going to take some of these pecans, remember the ones we saved at the beginning, and I'm just going to sprinkle those on top for decoration. It's just a basic, you know, it's kind of a basic decoration, but I think it will suit the needs of the people who are going to eat it, which would be us and the guys at work. And then real quick, I am going to snap a picture of this so that way we can put it on social media, because why not? Alright, got that. So there we are. That is our finished product, ladies and gentlemen. A German chocolate cheesecake. Now we have almost every aspect of cheesecake, or of German's chocolate, except for cupcakes. So let's go ahead and give it a cut. Now the reason why, clean my knife off. So the reason why I'm rinsing the knife, if you've never seen me do it before, is when you warm it up, you get less of the cheesecake attached to the knife that way. Now maybe we're gonna get this out of here. There we go. Well, we left a little bit of it, but that's all right. That's all right. And if you are new to my channel, you'll notice, and you'll see if you watch more of my videos, I'm a horrible first piece person. I don't do well with first pieces. So this would definitely not be a picture piece. Let me grab a piece of cake to care of the crust that came off. But flip that down, smooth that out a little, and there we are. That is our piece of cheesecake. So now all we have to do is give it a try. I got this goofy feeling it is going to taste amazing. I don't know why I say that, but other than the fact I just licked a little bit of the cheesecake off my fingers, truth be told. But I don't know what it tastes like all the way around, so we'll find that out here in just 1 second. So we'll go ahead and get that messed up piece there at the end, and a little bit of the crust. That is a success story, and then some. Sorry. That tastes like a German chocolate cake, but at the same time, it almost tastes like chocolate ice cream. I don't know how else to describe it. Other than that, is amazing. But with the coconut topping, I'm gonna go ahead and put I think the rest of that coconut topping on the top. just because that coconut topping is really good. Or maybe I'll just set it to the side and people can put more on it if they want to, because I know like Chris doesn't really care for the coconut topping on a German cheesecake. But then there are some that absolutely love that, and that really, other than the German's chocolate, is what makes a German chocolate cake a German chocolate cake. But that, my friends, is an amazing cheesecake. I would definitely say give this a try. Like I said, it's not a quick, easy cheesecake. This is definitely a cheesecake for a party, an event, a gathering, or, you know, a Sunday dinner. But, yeah, I mean, we've got, no cheesecake is quick, but this one's just a hair more labor intensive with the 3 different steps that you got to go through and all the cool time and all that stuff. Although you spend more time watching it cool than you do actually baking it or making anything. So, but I still give this a try and let me know if you do. If you do give it a try, leave me a comment down below or check us out on Facebook at Mr. Smith's Kitchen. We have a Facebook group there. And leave me a comment there. Or if you have a recipe you'd like to share, throw that on there too. You know, we try to share as much as we can on there, usually about food. You can also leave good stories if you've got one. I think that's an important, because remember, the Facebook group isn't just a group for food, it's a community. So we can leave all kinds of things on there. All we ask is you be respectful and don't post anything that you wouldn't want your grandma to see, basically. But that being said, next week I have no idea what we're going to cook for dinner. I have no idea what we're going to bake. I have shot a canning video. If you haven't seen it yet, you will here soon. All I gotta do is get it edited. It is green peppers and cucumber relish, and I'm here to tell you it's an amazing relish. But that's coming. Like I said, I just gotta get it edited. It's in the system, ready to be edited, just needs to be edited. So other than that, yeah, no idea next week. But until next week, when we meet up for hope to be a really good dinner and a really good dessert, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them. Now you love them very much. They may need to hear that. It's going to make them feel better to hear that. It's going to make you feel better to tell them that. And if you make them one of these German chocolate cheesecakes, they are going to feel the love in every bite. I guarantee it. And it's going to lead to some good conversation through the evening. So until next week, I love you. Talk to you then. All right? Bye.